And we are going to go over cancellation policies. Flexible, and then we got moderate, firm. Why cancellation policies are so important. In that cancellation rate, you're going to lose a ton of revenue. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We got another great episode for you today. And today we're going to be taking a little break away from those listing reviews. And we are going to go over cancellation policies. Very important to select the correct cancellation policy. It could really affect your bookings. It could affect your revenue even more than that. And more importantly, there are some nuances to the cancellation policies that people don't realize. So stick around to the end to find out. As always, guys, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell as it really helps out the channel. And leave a comment below with your thoughts, or if you disagree with me, or if you agree with me. All right, let's jump right into it. All right, so here we go. We are on the Airbnb Help Center, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a quick review of the Airbnb cancellation policies. I am going to skip a few of them in the special circumstance situations. We're not going to go over those today. But anyways, so the cancellation policy starting at first one is flexible. Guests can cancel up to 24 hours beforehand to get a full refund. If they cancel after that, you'll be paid for each night they stay plus one additional night. So if they don't stay at all, you only get paid for one night, and that's if they cancel within 24 hours. And then we got moderate. Moderate guests can cancel up to 5 days beforehand and get a full refund. If they cancel within 5 days, you will get paid for each night they stay if they've already checked in, plus one additional night, and 50% of any unstayed nights. Firm. To receive a full refund, the guest must cancel at least 30 days before check-in. Between 7 and 30 days, it's a 50% refund. And if they cancel less than 7 days, you'll be paid 100% for all nights. Guests could also receive a full refund if they cancel within 48 hours of booking and at least 14 days beforehand. And then strict is really the last one. And that one, to receive a full refund, the guest must cancel within 48 hours of booking, and it must occur at least 14 days in advance. If it is within 48 hours of booking and 14 days in advance, you'll be paid 50%. If it's less than 7 days, you get 100%. Okay, there's a couple long-term ones I'm not going to go over here. There is the non-refundable option, which we are going to talk about this. This is an option you could allow your guests to select when they book for the reservation to be completely non-refundable. They will get a discount, if they do this, but it is a non-refundable option. And then you have super strict 30 and super strict 60 days, which basically they are what they say they are. These are, you must cancel at least 30 days in advance, otherwise you get nothing, or 60 days in advance. Those two options are by invitation only, so we're really not going to talk about those ones today either, as you have to be accepted into those by Airbnb. But anyways, let's go back up to the top and let's start. Let's talk about why cancellation policies are so important and what it means as a host, what it means for the guest, and what it means for Airbnb. So I want to make one more quick note that they put full refund refers to your nightly rate only. Refunds on Airbnb guest fees depend on several factors. So that could come into play. One of the things that VRBO does different than Airbnb is usually VRBO keeps all the guest fees no matter what, and kind of putting a lot of the pressure on the host to make sure they get their reservations to follow through and not cancel. But Airbnb, for the most part, does return them, from my understanding. And that may be changing. That may have changed recently, but for the most part, they do that. So, flexible. When I first started hosting, I actually did go with flexible. I believed that, if you get more exposure, maybe Airbnb likes that policy better. They'll put you up in the rankings. You will get more bookings and you'll get more revenue. And we'll come back to that a little bit later, how that ended up working out. I no longer use flexible. But anyways, flexible really to me is probably actually the worst policy you could select. The reason why it's the worst policy you could select is because really what it does is the only people who are specifically looking for flexible cancellation policies are people who are super unsure of their plans to begin with. So if they're unsure of their plans, they don't know if they're going to be going there, they don't know if they're going to be staying, they're really unsure. These are not really guests that I want booking my place anyway. I prefer people who have more solid plans, they're 100% certain they're traveling, they're going to definitely go. And the biggest problem with flexible guests is you will have a much higher cancellation rate. In that cancellation rate, you're going to lose a ton of revenue. No! But then most importantly, you are going to be scrambling, absolutely scrambling to fill those nights last minute. And you're most likely going to have to drop your rate substantially to fill those nights if people cancel 48 hours, 72 hours in advance. They're still going to get a full refund. You are going to be left there with no money in your pocket, and you're going to have to go find another reservation at probably a very discounted price, or you may not get booked at all. So moving on to the moderate policy, some people may like this policy. Again, I just think it's not enough leeway. Guests can cancel up to 5 days beforehand to get a full refund. People who are looking for flexible and moderate policies, again, these are going to be people who are unsure of their plans, and they're going to be people who are switching around their accommodations. Okay. And additionally, there is one other thing I am going to talk about when it comes to cancellation policies later in the video that is a super secret thing that unfortunately a lot of guests started doing, especially during 2020 to 2022, which you got to put a kibosh on that, and you can't do it with a flexible or moderate policy. So moving on to the next policy, we have the firm policy, and I actually like the firm policy a lot. I think this could be a great option for a lot of people. I don't actually use the firm policy. What? Because again, I want guests that are 100% certain on their plans, and more importantly, I want the option to refund my guests. I want that power in my hands, not in Airbnb's hands, and not in my guest hands. And we'll kind of go over what I do with that in a second. But anyways, so the firm policy, I think is a pretty solid policy. I wouldn't have any qualms with people selecting the firm policy. That could be definitely a way to go. Now the strict policy, that is actually the policy I use for all my listings. I do a strict policy. And what I do is with my guests who do not get a refund, do not get a full refund, or only get a partial refund, is what I do to better accommodate my guests is I offer them a full dollar for dollar credit towards any future booking at any one of my Airbnbs in the next 12 months. This kind of takes the sting off of not getting a refund, but also helps me when you're dealing with a lot of guests. They'll contact you, they'll say, oh, XYZ happened, oh, this thing happened, this crazy thing happened. And the fact of the matter is, as a host, you can't really tell whether someone is telling the truth or not, or whether they're just trying to, get a discount or not stay or get a full refund. Maybe they found a place that's cheaper. And anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about next. And this ties back into the flexible and moderate policies. So what I was saying earlier happened between 2020 and 2022, which is still happening today, is a lot of Airbnb guests and VRBO guests for that matter found a little niche workaround where basically what they would do is they would book their Airbnbs in advance to guarantee they had a place to stay. But they know that a lot of hosts, as they get closer and closer to those dates, will start dropping their prices to make sure that their Airbnbs get filled. So what a lot of these guests will do is they'll book a place that will suit them, and then 1 week in advance, maybe 3 days in advance, depending on which policy you have selected, they will go out and start searching for other Airbnbs that they also may like. And what they'll do is they'll find an Airbnb that they like, they'll cancel yours, and then they will simply just book that new Airbnb and they will save some money. But anyways, so the next thing that I really want to go over is the non-refundable option. So this one, if my memory serves me correctly, I believe it gave the guest a 10% discount, but if they selected this option, then they would not be able to get any refund no matter when they canceled. And it sounds like a great opportunity to guarantee revenue for you as a host.
Oh my God! Wow!
But unfortunately, I don't particularly like it.
Why?
The reason why I don't like it, I actually did try this for a while. I used a more flexible cancellation policy. I believe I was on the flexible cancellation policy, but I did the non-refundable option to see if it helped. And what happened is almost every guest selected the non-refundable option. And so I lost 10% of my revenue right there.
Damn!
And then ultimately, that's when I created my own personal policy, which is, like I said, I really don't care the situation that my guest is in. What I do is I follow my cancellation policy to a T, and I offer any guests that cancel that don't get a refund, whatever they didn't get refunded, I will give them a dollar for dollar credit towards a future booking at any one of my places in the next 12 months. And all they have to do to get it is send me a message. It will be in the same thread. I put the credit amount. I highly recommend you do that. Guests love it. It makes them feel better. And, sometimes they use it, sometimes they don't. But between me and you, most of them do not even use it because they just don't end up going back to the area or what have you. It depends on where your Airbnb is. But anyways, the last thing I want to cover is some statistics I found on this. Statistics are a little bit hard to find on this, but I did find a few that I wanted to quickly go over so we could wrap up this analysis on how to select the correct Airbnb cancellation policy. So this is from an IntelliHost, and basically right at the top they have average daily impressions, and they basically say that all policies have consistent impressions until you reach the super strict policy, which again, we didn't go over the super strict 30 because it is a invite only policy. But anyways, so really what that's saying is, doesn't really matter which policy you select, you're getting about the same amount of impressions. So then the next thing is they have first page impressions. And they say with first page impressions, the most flexible policies boast a rate of 47 to 48%. But when you go to the least flexible policies, that dips to about 43%. Now, when they're talking about the least flexible, they're talking about the super strict 30 and the super strict 60. However, you're not going to see much of a drop off on first page impressions when you switch to a more strict policy. So the next thing they have is click rate. An intriguing pattern emerges when we observe click rate. Generally, there seems to be an inverse relationship with first impressions. So as properties get more first page appearances, they tend to receive a smaller percentage of clicks. This is interesting because this ties into the first page impression rate, where it says, hey, you want to be on the first page, everybody does. However, you get less clicks when you're on the first page more and more often. So even though your first page impression rate drops when you go to stricter policies, you may actually get more clicks because of that. So you may get more page views because of that. So the last thing, and probably the most important thing, is your conversion rate. And you will notice your conversion rate does drop substantially as you move across the policies and get stricter and stricter. And again, there is one important piece of statistics that are missing from this. You definitely will always have a higher conversion rate. More bookings will come in at a flexible policy. However, you will not see an increase in occupancy and you won't see an increase in revenue. And again, I don't have statistics to back that up, but I do have my personal experience to back that up. Because although you're getting more bookings from these flexible policies and moderate policies, you're going to be getting way more cancellations. And they're going to be canceling, which again, you probably will get rebooked, especially if it's a busy weekend that gets canceled, but you're going to rebook at a way lower price, so you are going to lose money. So anyways, guys, that's my interpretation of cancellation policies. To wrap it up, I just want to say that I really think firm and strict is the way to go. Doesn't matter where your listing is located. It's not going to affect your impressions that much. It's not going to affect your first page that much. You're going to get the same amount of click-throughs, maybe slightly less, but your conversion will go down. But the bookings that you do get are going to be solid bookings. They're going to be people who are definitely staying there. You're going to have very low cancellation rates. I barely get any cancellations on my listings. And even when I do get cancellations, I usually get paid for them anyways. So even if I rebook at a lower rate, I usually end up making the same or more money. So anyways, guys, I definitely would recommend using a firm or strict cancellation policy. Let me know what you think. Do you agree, disagree? Leave your comments below. And as always, guys, please like and subscribe.